Ron Pitts, Mike Martz, Chris Devoda here standing by at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Kickoff on the way. The Rams have won the toss. They have deferred, and the Bills will receive. Let's go down to the third member of our crew standing by with Coach Jeff Fisher. That's Chris Devoda. Krista.
Thanks, Ron. Coach, today you find yourselves outside the conference on the road. How do you channel the intensity your team has shown against the division?
We talked about just picking things up where we left off last week. I thought we played very well against the Niners. Great challenge for us today. Really good football team across the way.
Your first year at St. Louis, is this team at the point you'd hope they'd be?
No. I mean, we got a long ways to go, but our record's not where we would hoped it would be. But, you know, we can't control the pass. All we can do is control the next 3 hours.
Thanks, Coach.
Well put. The Rams 5-6-1. The Bills 5-7. Both teams still alive in the push for the playoffs. The Rams win the toss but defer. They will kick away. That was a quick look at number 21, Leotis McKelvin. And that is McKelvin about 5 yards deep. He's got a lane. Takes a solid hit by Craig Dahl, but a nice return.
Boy, it'll be interesting here to see what Jeff Fisher's got up his sleeve here with the defensive front for those two youngsters that are starting new here.
Talking about that offensive line, and there's a look at a guy that you know pretty well. You drafted that young man, Ryan Fitzpatrick, there in St. Louis back in '05. He has come here to Buffalo, got a new contract last year. Now they're trying to tack on wins. This team's still alive in the push for the playoffs. We'll talk about those changes up front, but meanwhile, here's C.J. Spiller. You'll see a lot of Spiller along with Jackson. That might be 2 yards. And a look at the backs and receivers. Spiller, you'll see Jackson, McIntyre, the lead fullback, and Scott Chandler very active down the field at tight end.
Yeah, boy, C.J. Spiller just creates such a different problem for you defensively with that speed. We talked with the coaches here the other day, and they talked about changing their angles to have a chance to tackle him when he gets into that second level.
Snow and Young, the two replacements at center and tackle. Pressure. Somehow Fitzpatrick got away from it, but he's still going to lose 1 yard. And we talked about the Rams defensive front. They are bringing pressure. Kendall Langford along with Brockers.
Well, the issue you have is you're trying to help on the edge with a back, and all of a sudden you have David Snow by himself inside. So, you know, what do? You help on the edge with a youngster outside with Sam Young on Chris Long, or the center, who they're, by the way, they've covered since the very first snap, meaning they put a defensive lineman right on his nose.
Third down and 9 throw. He's got time, finds a man late, almost found the wrong man. James Laurinaitis, the leading tackler, almost had his second interception of the season, and that will be the first punt of the day for Buffalo.
And I think he said it best. He was awfully late with that throw, Ron. I'm not sure that he didn't want to go into the boundary to the top up there, and he got back over here inside, and that brought the linebacker right underneath the throw.
So Sean Powell, the rookie free agent, will punt away. Drives this one way back to about the 20-yard line. That's Austin Pettis. And Pettis had room and just inexplicably slipped and tripped down there at the 40-yard line. 54-yard punt, 21 yards on the return. And first look today at Sam Bradford, looking for his third straight win. His completion percentage is solid. But we talked to him the other day. You know, we were expecting a lot of wind, and for quarterbacks, that's an issue. The wind doesn't seem to be a real problem over here.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because you look at one side and the flags are blown, and you look at the other side and then they're still. So who knows in Buffalo?
Rams start out with a full house backfield. Both tight ends downhill. That's Steven Jackson. The Bills figure to get a big dose of him and maybe 1 yard on the run. The Rams offense, of course, Jackson. He'll be involved early and often, and Givens subbing in for the injured Danny Amendola.
And that's a big asterisk. With Danny being the target for most of those third down throws, that's a big miss for the Rams.
They call it a 1-yard gain. Empty backfield. Look for a quick throw. It is a quick throw. The turn and then a hit.
And this is the type of passing game that the Rams have kind of morphed into, managing the game with these shorter throws and then trying to make up with the 2 to 4 yard gains and possibly break one. And they will come up all of a sudden once or twice each quarter with that shot to the end zone.
Mario Williams, 9.5 sacks on the year. As you look at the secondary, Jairus Byrd, he had the hit there on Pettis. This is 3rd and 3. Rams have struggled in the 3rd and short category, and there's another example intended for Givens. It's off target. And so the Rams will have their first punt of the day.
And I think what Sam expected was Givens to come back out of that, and that's why he let him back outside. And that's what happens when you got guys playing a different position. They're not quite sure, and just that telepathy, if you will, that chemistry is missing there on those 3rd down short throws on the option routes.
Hecker will try to kill this one inside the 20. Got a good aim. Looks like it might get out near the 15. Maybe a little further. The combination, Spiller Jackson coming at you after this. All right, we're back in Buffalo, 0-0 game, just getting started here. Second possession for the Buffalo Bills. TJ Graham, return motion. Throw outside for Stevie Johnson, and Johnson lowers his head and picks up a couple. Janoris Jenkins on the tackle. Talk about those changes. David Snow subs in for the injured Eric Wood, went out last week with a knee injury. At the right tackle spot, Chris Harrison, he is on injured reserve with a foot injury, gone for the year. Sam Young comes in. The key issue is first career starts for both those guys up front.
And then you have to look at, do you take Urbeck and make him the center? He's played center and have 2 unexperienced guys next to each other. And that was the coach's big concern. That's why they went with the alignment the way they did.
That was a pickup of 4. Jackson ran into a brick wall. Boy, the line up front, D-line for the Rams, solid. We knew that coming in. And let's meet them. Chris Long, Quinn on the outside, Langford along with the rookie Brockers inside. Laurinaitis, he is your leading tackler, has been the last couple years. Cortland Finnegan brings a new attitude and a new energy to this secondary, and I think it spreads throughout the defensive unit.
Well, both those corners, I think, have got a chance, at least within next year, being the best duo in the league, and they're headed in that direction.
Talking about Janoris Jenkins on the other side. 3rd and 4 pressure, quick throw, and they'll be short. Boy, did the heat get to Fitzpatrick. He unloaded it, but they were all over Johnson.
And what they did is they're attacking David Snow here. They're going to get a little game going right up the pike, and they get him turned, and he gets a free shot at the quarterback. He's got to come off that, pass that off, and pick up the twister there, the end coming all the way inside. And you're going to see a lot of this type of thing in this game. They're going to challenge those 2 inexperienced players and make them pass things off and pick it up, and it's going to be difficult.
Chris Long there on that loop inside. He's having a nice year. The punt, not real sharp, kind of off to the left and out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. We knew there'd be early pressure. Hits on the quarterbacks pay dividends. Let's see if it comes true.
What's on?
Yeah, you know about the Buffalo Wings. Where's the beef on wet? Got a little wet going too. 3 possessions, 3 and outs. Tough time with the run game, trying the right side. That's Jackson. Jeff Fisher, in his first year as head coach with the Rams, actually a second stint with the organization, was the defensive coordinator back in '91. But thus far, Mike, he has changed around this roster. We're talking about 34 guys on the opening day roster from last season, not even in the league anymore.
And I think 10 is a big number, but when you talk about 34, that's 34 guys that in essence aren't good enough to play in the rest of the league right now.
End around after the 1-yard game. No place to go, and look at that defense. Barnett with the hit there. Chris Givens tried to get around on the end around, and it went nowhere.
Well, you take a look at Barnett here. He plays this so well. He stretches it, and waits for the cavalry to come out. He's made the last 2 tackles in a row. This is a good indication of who the leader of this defense is. What a big pickup for the Bills.
Denoris Searcy came over and applied the late wax. And that's a loss of 3, 3rd and 12. The pressure, Bradford alive for now, and he goes down. Mario Williams, and if they call that a sack, that is number 10. And for Williams, that'll be the first 10-sack season by a Buffalo Bill since Aaron Schobel in '09.
And the Rams did a real good job with the tight end chipping him. He released off the tight end, then took on the tackle and beat the tackle. And of course, when he scrambled inside, he's there to make the stop.
Alex Carrington with the first pressure inside. A little trickeration here on the punt, a man in motion. But they'll safely get it away. Caught at the 23. McKelvin. McKelvin, not much. 46-yard punt, 3 yards on the return. The Bills bringing their own pressure, courtesy Mario Williams. The Rams looking to win 3 straight for the first time since the end of the 2006 season. Meanwhile, the Bills are looking for their 3rd straight win at home as they lead the series 6-4 and have won 5 of the last 6. Play action. Throw down to Seaman. It's caught. That looked nice. Right down the pipe. Good throw. Donald Jones.
Well, as Jones came down off the ball, he came off under a very controlled speed as if he was going to stalk the defender or block him. You can see him looking there inside, and Ryan came off the fake. And the fake held that backer just long enough from getting out underneath that. Well played by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
19 yards. That's the first down of the game. We've had 4 straight 3-and-outs by both teams. They'll throw it again. Pressure. No place for Fitzpatrick, but down.
Right, and
Rockers.
And I'm sorry, we're seeing him under center all the time, and he does not want to be underneath the center. Most of the time they're back in the gun, and with David Snow in there, this is something he's not used to do, dropping back now from the center. He'd much prefer to be in the gun, and when you have a new inexperienced center like that, it changes things dramatically.
You know, we talked to him this week at practice, and he said, well, I've had to calm Snow down a little bit. You know, a couple of jam fingers on some snaps early on.
Well, but that's why you have to let him snap right directly to you if you can, just so he doesn't have to worry about the snap flying up back there.
2nd and long. More of a check down throw. They'll get yards out of it, but just 3.
Now Ryan hit a check down there. Did a good job of getting off the field there.
Hey, Coach, any of these pictures look familiar?
Yes.
You drafted this young man back in 2005.
Wow. That was his first pass in the NFL right there in the preseason game against the Chargers. End of the game, he came off the bench. He hadn't thrown a pass yet. I said, how you doing, Ryan? You want to throw one? He said, you betcha. We threw that touchdown.
This is a 3rd and 13. Screen. The Rams were worried about the screens. That Spiller makes a move, and he's got a first down. What a pickup. Missed tackle there by Jolan Dunbar. That's 15 and a first.
And Ryan handles things so doggone well. You just kind of when you met him, you just felt that presence that the really good ones have got to have. He's under control. Nothing really rattles him. Of course, he's got this terrific accuracy. And I know people complain about his arm strength. That was never an issue. You saw him the cutout. And he went that thing about 60.
Jackson checks back in. Chandler sets up. They do that little counter play back to the other side. But the Rams are there waiting on it. A pickup of 4.
And they're working on Chris Long now. Just on that last play, the pass play, we saw Sam Young bury Chris Long on the pass protection. He absolutely buried him. Now they're coming back and giving Chris Long something else to look at. You know, Chris is a guy that's going to be very quick off the ball, and he's relentless, and you want to take advantage of that as much as you can and have it work for you.
A little misdirection, coach, trying to get the backers to step in the wrong direction on that step over counter look. 4 on the play, 2nd and 6. Looking for a crosser. There's a tight end wide open. And Chandler inside the 25-yard line.
And we talked to Coach Chan Gailey. This is something that they thought that they were going to dust off and do a little bit more, is a lot of play action. And again, being under the center lends itself to a much more effective play fake on the run as opposed to being the gun, which is something that they'd been primarily in before the change at center. I think this has helped them.
Look at Chandler's numbers. Just got it off. Back to Jackson, a great chase from the backside. That's Quinton Michael coming down from the strong safety spot, moved from free safety to strong safety mid-season, and it's a loss of 3.
Well, I think down here they're not going to let them have those dink and dunk and play action fakes. They're going to come after him now. This is something that Jeff Fisher's always done. You get across that 30-yard line to the 20-yard line, you can expect to see pressure.
Fitzpatrick with a hot hand now. He's completed 6 in a row. Looking left, throws wide open Johnson. Johnson steps out of bounds about 2 yards shy of the first, working on Cortland Finnegan. Johnson has been quiet of late, but looks like he's starting to pick it up in this game.
Yes, he has. Watch Cordy Glenn here in the top of your picture. Another twist and a shot on Fitzpatrick, and I think this is their idea in terms of pressuring him. They'll do a lot of games on these inexperienced linemen, games being these twist stunts where the defensive linemen come off the ball and change and cross each other, force the offensive linemen to change and pick up.
3rd catch of the day already for Johnson.
Good game.
Quick throw, and he short hopped it.
But he is getting hit, Ron. He is getting hit on every snap.
William Hayes with the pressure. He had Donald Jones, but a little low, and they'll have to settle.
This is a good drive. This is a good defense here now to come in and make this drive off the play fakes and put in a couple of those new runs that we've really not seen them do before. This is a well-called and executed drive.
Lindell, solid. This is 35 yards out. Puts it through. Wind not a factor. So a nice drive by Buffalo. They get down the field. It stalls. They can't get 6, but they'll take the 3. And Sam Bradford will have to get his team going when they come back. 10 plays, 53 yards, can't get 6, but they'll take 3. And Coach, you were very complimentary regarding Ryan Fitzpatrick. Still, you said if you were going to come back and start this thing up over again coaching, you would look for a guy like that to be your quarterback.
Well, he's got such great leadership and understanding what you're trying to do in offense, and he can actually help you put in an offense and help you with the other players understanding what's trying to be done. And then, of course, I just think he's very accurate.
Short kick. Givens, boy, takes a chance, secures the catch. Now he's going to go with the run. And the ball is loose. Was he down? I heard a whistle. Nope. You see the official coming in. blowing it dead, down by contact. 3-0 game here in Buffalo. Looks to be a tough one up front. The Bills today in their throwback uniforms from 1965. Quarterback and future member of the House of Representatives, Jack Kemp, along with head coach Lou Saban, leading the team, which would go on to win the AFL championship that season, the old AFL. You look closely at the helmets, they've got the old school, old style Buffalo logo on the helmets. The Rams, rough start, 2 possessions, 3 total yards of offense. Bills bringing pressure. Whoa, was he out of the pocket? Looked to be out of the pocket. So he won't get the intentional grounding. Alex Carrington applying the pressure.
They brought the free safety off the backside, George Wilson, which is something that they've been very effective here, particularly in the last few weeks. And you look at this defense run against the run, just in the last couple of games, they've been outstanding. It's a total different look of a team on defense from the beginning of the season.
Yardage discrepancy. -1 yards rushing for the Rams, trying to get it to Jackson. And that one on the ground.
Well, and generally, if you're getting pressure, you want to go right to your screen game. It's a good call, but unfortunately, I played Kyle Williams, and he's the wrong guy to screen. He sniffs that stuff out in a New York minute. He's hard to get a screen against.
He's just one of those guys that you don't want to run away from him, do you?
No, you don't. I tell you what, you run away from Kyle Williams, and he'll get in that crease, and he's so quick off the ball and so strong, you can't cut him off.
A very loud 3rd and 10 for the Rams. Pressure again, front side or backside. He throws to the front side, and it's caught. No, he juggled it. Gibbons looked to have control, but he couldn't maintain it by the time he stepped in bounds. Gilmore on the coverage.
Well, that's too bad. Sam Bradford did such a terrific job. He gets hit by 2 defenders here as he's throwing the ball, and I was amazed that he was able to get that thing out of there.
Leotis McKelvin came off the backside there. Defensive coordinator Dave Wanstead dialing up pressure early here in Buffalo. Boy, these are usually comeback balls at the 25. McKelvin still on his feet. Great coverage by the Rams. They hustle down 46 yards on the punt, hold it to a 4-yard return. We're back 3-0 Buffalo. The Bills with a nice drive on the last series. Got a field goal. They'll go play action. Fitzpatrick took a hit, and he threw it back door. Johnson couldn't adjust. Boy, I'm concerned about how often Fitzpatrick is getting up off the ground.
Well, and I think as you take a look here at Chan Gailey, I'm sure he's concerned too, and the change that he's made in this offense is keeping Ryan Fitzpatrick under center. And again, to reiterate, that's not something that they do. They want him in the gun to run the ball and to throw the ball as much as possible. So it's Ryan is going to have to get used to these drops and getting it out quickly.
Look at Chan Gailey, 3rd year as head coach here in Buffalo, 14-12, 6-2 seasons. And that's a strike to Chandler. He's across midfield.
And Ryan, that's getting the ball out quick. He got back, stuck that foot in the ground. That ball was out of there. Hitting those creases in that 3-deep zone. Outstanding by Ryan, sticking his foot in the ground. A little bit of a hitch in anticipation. You can see in the zone there, he puts it where nobody can get to it and leads him right into a hole. Great anticipation by Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Dahl coming over for the tackle. Chandler tied for the team lead with 6 touchdowns. That's a career high for him. 1 touchdown catch. And that'll be the club record in touchdown catches by a tight end, single season for the franchise. Still plenty of time. Going for Johnson. He's got Johnson at the 15.
When Ryan came around the corner, he looked and saw the defensive back's back to him, not playing the receiver, and he underthrew it. And when he did it, he put it on a rope. Watch him turn, got the double move there. Once that defensive back gets his back turned, then you can underthrow it, and that's how you get those big plays. We had that happen in the Super Bowl to win it to Isaac Bruce.
Yardage in chunks now for Buffalo. 23 on the last pass play. 34 on that one. Ball spotted just inside the 15. Jackson, the ball is loose and picked up. Laurinaitis comes up with it. That's ruled Rams ball. As Laurinaitis is slow to get up, but a huge turnover in the red zone for the Bills, and they have had that issue this season. That has cost them, particularly the New England Patriots game early in the year. That is the end of the quarter. The Bills holding on to a 3-0 lead. Fox NFL Sunday will return after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. 1st and 10, and Jackson is loose. Steven Jackson coming down the pipe. And he's got a first down, brought down by Searcy. Another look at the fumble.
It looks like Quentin Michael comes in here and strips the ball out. This is something, talking to Jeff Fisher, as you recall, that they worked on all year, but they went in a 5-game dry spell where they couldn't get one. And now here in the last couple of games, they're coming in bunches.
12 yards, first down by Jackson. He's at it again. Now the Rams said, okay, forget dropping back and taking hits on our quarterback. Let's just go straight ahead.
Well, and I guess with Kyle Williams, the penetrator that he is, and the type of defense that they play, you'd like to go downhill or straight ahead with a big back like Steven Jackson and make them stay home and stop this deep penetration on some of these side-to-side runs.
12 on the previous run. That one good for 7. 3 carries in a row for Jackson. Finally, the Bills say, no, we got a beat on this one. That's a loss of 1. Out to Los Angeles in the first game break of the day. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, it's the easiest touchdown pass of Andy Dalton's career. That counts as a pass, yes. To Andrew Hawkins, he takes it in for the score. And the Bengals lead the Cowboys right now 10-3 as they start the second quarter. Ron and Mike.
Troubles off the field for the Cowboys this week and playing against a pretty solid team there in Cincinnati. Cowboys got their work cut out for them. 3rd and 4. Incomplete.
McKelvin got right into his hip pocket. He got that arm through there. Really well played by him.
I was looking for a flag for a second there, but no call. Working on Steve Smith.
And if Steve Smith could have gotten off of that, there's nobody there. That man coverage on those slant type of routes, if you can get that ball, those are always big gainers.
Bradford 1 for 6. As Hecker comes on to punt to Leotis McKelvin. McKelvin, a 20.4 punt return average. That is the best in the NFL, and he fair catches. 42 yards on the punt. Slow start. 3-0 game. Starting the second quarter here in Buffalo, 3-0 Bills. It's been all about pressure on both sides of the ball. And Ryan Fitzpatrick has been able to maneuver himself into position to make throws down the field, starting now to get plays in chunks, throwing the football. Bills will try inside. That's Spiller. Well, on January 4th, one of the best bowl games of the year is on Fox. Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Football, that's right, Johnny Manziel, leads 9th-ranked Texas A&M against number 11, Oklahoma. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic is January 4th, only on Fox. And as the guys were talking in the pregame show, you know, the NFL now changes the way they think about quarterbacks. I mean, it was once that a guy like Manziel, you would say, no, he'll never be able to throw the ball, and run with the ball and all that kind of stuff. But think they're changing their thinking.
And no question, however he can impact the game to that position, Ron. It's, you know, the guys that can make plays however you do it. And it's not that cookie cutter type of player anymore. I think that what we're seeing too on the other side of the ball with the Rams, they've done a terrific job with Fitzpatrick in terms of stunning defensive linemen and really confusing that offensive line, those young guys that without the experience, and that's why he's getting hit so much.
That's Jackson, a loss on the play, a loss of 2. This is a 3rd and 11. 4 wide out formation. Pockets clean. Check down throw. Well short of the first down. That's Brad Smith. Hit there by Chris Long. A pickup of 6 won't be enough. They'll punt it.
Well, and I think the fans are frustrated with that call, but you're managing this game. You're controlling the other team's offense. You're holding them in check. You know, you're even though you're deep here in your own 20 or 25-yard line,
right?
You know, who knows? Maybe he'll break a tackle and get the first down, but you don't want to take the risk of a turnover when you've got control of this game.
So Sean Powell, all 235 pounds of it, gets that one down to about the 40-yard line. Ball was touched and down. 34 yards on the punt. Slow start for Bradford and the Rams. We'll have another shot coming up. Quick look at the quarterback comparison. Both quarterbacks have been getting hit. The numbers a little bit different for Fitzpatrick. The rollout, and he's got one clean. That'll be a couple. That's Kendricks.
And we're taking a look at that stat. Look at this pressure. I think they're being pressured for 2 different reasons. The Rams are running these defensive line stunts, and they're having a hard time on offense picking it up. The Bills are. And then on the flip side of that, the Rams really don't have that receiver to get off press man. Bradford's got to hold the ball. They missed Danny Amendola right now.
Picking of 3, Daryl Richardson steps in at the running back spot. He'll get the call straight ahead. Started out good, then it closed up quickly. They hold it to 2. Nigel Bradham on the tackle.
And this is where you really miss Danny Amendola. You know, at this point, you'd expect their receivers to get pressed, playing man-to-man, and Amendola is really the guy that is best at getting off those defenders, and without him, they struggle, as you can see with that graphic. And it's hard for them to convert without a guy that can beat man-to-man coverage.
Third and 5, the pocket collapses, ball is loose. Bradford picks it up. May have gotten positive yardage out off of it, but I believe it's still well short of the first. Knocked out there by Williams.
Well, he's got plenty of time to throw this football. He looks and hitches twice there, but when you saw him look, he didn't have either receiver free over there. They couldn't win on the route, and this is what's happening to the Rams. You saw Leotis McKelvin earlier in the game strip the ball out on press man. This is going to trace them all the way through the game until they come up with an answer somehow of beating that man coverage on 3rd down.
Hecker to McKelvin. Good punt. Forces a fair catch at the 12. 8:56 here in the first half. Still a 3-0 game. Hey, join the NFL in celebrating 50 years of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and this golden anniversary. Come to Canton and join the more than 10 million fans who have made the pilgrimage to the birthplace of the National Football League. Visit ProFootballHallOfFame.com for more details. First and 10, give to Spiller. Spiller looking for that outside. That's what he does so well, and comes up with a nice gain, at least 9 yards.
Take a good look at Jim Kelly here before the game started, and this is the guy that didn't care about the win in the stadium, did he? He could throw a tomato through a locomotive, couldn't he, Ron?
Tomato through a locomotive. Yeah, old Jim could spin it, as they say. And
yes, he could.
another Hall of Famer spoke actually helped wave the flag here in Buffalo. Joe DeLamalure, there's a blast from the pass. Offensive lineman.
What you heard Ryan Fitzpatrick do there over the sound, and it was perfect sound. It was beautiful. You could pick that up as kill, kill, kill. And what they had is a run. They had two main defenders up there, and when he says kill, 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 that goes right to a pass. And of course, with a new center in there, that's a little dicey, but they were able to be effective with it. Just didn't complete it.
Intended for T.J. Graham.
Hey, Mike 5-5, Mike 5-5. Hey, easy, Arda 58, Arda 58.
3rd and 4. There's a window, and it's caught. Let's see what they call it. Yes, they mark it as a catch. That's Donald Jones.
And I tell you, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, his anticipation, that's one of the things you got to love about him. He anticipates, like Kurt Warner did so well, those windows, and the ball comes out quickly. And they really rely on his quickness and anticipation to beat the pass rush.
Pickup of 11. Coach backed up there to start the series. Would you have gone play action and let one fly down the field?
No question. I think that's an excellent time to do it. But, you know, you're talking to the wrong guy. That's why I'm in the booth.
As you say, don't get conservative. They'll go back to the run game, and Spiller maybe just across the 30, and a flag is down. Check in today with Gene Steratore, our referee, the man in the white hat. This is the first flag of the day. I thought Gene was awful quiet. They get it worked out. Gene, one of the very best in the business. Going to make sure they've got everything covered before he steps to the mic.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense number 31. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run. Automatic. First down.
That's Finnegan. So that'll tack on some yardage there. Finnegan pleading the case.
And they're one of the more penalized teams in the league right now, unfortunately. And they come at the most inopportune times. And, boy, they really didn't need this penalty right here. They had him, they stopped the run pretty good and had him in a long yardage situation.
Well, obviously this one, even though the weather not an issue, turning into a field possession type of game. Low scoring. The end around, is he going to throw it? Nope, that's T.J. Graham. He'll just use his speed, and he's taken down in a great play. Janoris Jenkins, that's the 2nd-round pick out of Northern Alabama, coming up and holding that to 5. That could have gone for 25.
Well, the discipline of that position and staying on the blocker and coming off, as you know, as a former corner, coming off just at the right time. Let him think he's blocking you. Play it, and then contain it, keep it inside so the rest of the cavalry of the defense can get there. And I think you can see him right there, get right off of him and make the play.
Second down and 5. Play action to Spiller. Out of the pocket, Fitzpatrick. He's been known to put his head down and try to run over a defender or two. The Rams hold him to just 1.
You know, I talked to him. We saw him at practice, and I asked him about that. You know, Ryan, you're too old to be doing that stuff anymore. He says, yeah, Coach, I know. It's just a habit I just can't get out of. I said, well, one good rack to that noggin, and you'll change your attitude about that stuff, I promise.
Well, what was your take for your quarterbacks? What was your advice on that?
You know, I don't care how many feathers they had. They had to get down, you know. They had to get down and be safe and play another down.
It's a 3rd and 4. Johnson's had the hot hand. He's up top, but the pressure is there. No place for Fitzpatrick, and he's going to go down. 3rd sack of the day for the Rams. Chris Long, along with Kendall Langford, they've been applying the heat all this first half.
Well, they're getting such a good push on that offensive line now. They've turned the protection and brought the back all the way across to block him. That's just tough duty for any back. They turned it to pick up all those guys inside, but now the back's isolated on the end, and that's hard.
Take your pick who you want to give the sack to. The Rams had 4 blue jerseys there. Fair catch called at about the 12. Kendall Langford officially with the sack credit. 3-0 Bills. Slow start for the Rams. Now they're backed up here. Ball spotted officially at the 13-yard line. The give to Jackson. Boy, Jackson's had some nice runs here. They might want to keep pumping it to him. That one good for 9. Finally brought down by George Wilson. Well, this Tuesday, Fox has a gift for the entire family. All new holiday comedies keep you laughing with Raising Hope, followed by Ben and Kate, New Girl, and The Mindy Project. Nothing's better than the gift of laughter, all starting at 8/7 Central this Tuesday on Fox. Always unexpected. Jackson, 6 carries, 28 yards. Feels like more than that. He's been ripping them off in chunks. They give to him again. 2 times in a row, no. Let's see where they mark it. Not quite for the first down. Kyle Williams on the tackle. Let's go down to Chris Devoda.
Well, Ron, weather has not been a factor in terms of precipitation, but I can tell you down here on the field, the temperature has dropped at least 10 degrees. We had sunshine to start this game. It is frigid now. The flags on the visitor side, they're flying straight across.
You get a testimony from me on that one. And that's going to affect Sam Bradford. That the ball's cold, it's harder. If you're not used to it, it is different for the quarterback.
3rd and short, 3rd and 1. Did he get it?
Looks like where he's spotting it, he has it. And the Rams, we were talking about this earlier on, the Rams are the worst team in the league on short yardage situation. And that's so contrary to the philosophy of Jeff Fisher and pounding the ball in the running game to be ineffective on 3rd down like that short.
He has set up the offense along with offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, as they say, the 4-minute offense, which is designed to run that man and take possessions away from the other team and grind the clock and then play tough defense. Hendricks in the backfield, lead blocking. Jackson again, 3-4 yards. Tough yards inside.
Well, and what's happening is Marcel Darius and Kyle Williams in this defense, they are penetrators. And they're trying to get them to penetrate and trap them and create these inside seams and go downhill on them. And right now, the Rams, if they can show some play action off of that type of play and throw the ball downfield, I think they're going to get a guy free or 2.
This is a play action down, 2nd and 6. They bring the pressure from way back, man-to-man coverage outside. And it's incomplete. Nicely done, step for step. Ron Brooks running with Brandon Gibson. Coach, you're not seeing any separation out there.
No, they tried another double move. And talking to the staff on defense here at Buffalo, this is something that they anticipate that they're going to get at least 2 every quarter. And obviously, when you look at Brandon Gibson there, he did a nice job of defending that, knocking the ball away. Otherwise, you're looking at a pick.
See the Bills again here in press coverage across the board, challenging the Rams' speed up front, or lack thereof. 3rd and 6. Oh, a great catch on the turn at the last second. And that is the catch. Gibbons subbing in for Amendola, working on Gilmore. 13 yards, and that's a first at the 2-minute warning.
This is a 2-minute warning.
That last pass play, good for 13 yards, the longest of the day for Bradford. Rams have yet to cross midfield.
And Gibbons has that juice or that speed to push a corner off and get off, and perhaps that's where you're going to go to on that man-to-man stuff.
Now just turn routes with the amount of room that Gibson was given outside.
Take a look here at the sideline. Nothing is more frustrating for a head coach is getting a sideline warning. from the official. Jeff Fisher there gets one, and well, I tell you, that just absolutely blows your mind as a head coach. You got all these guys crowding, and all of a sudden the official comes over and warns the bench. That's very frustrating, and I can tell you, that makes you mad.
First down on the play. Good for 10 yards. The crosser dropped.
They isolated Steven Jackson last week at the end of the game against the 49ers, twice coming out of the backfield, and that was the difference in winning that game. And here in the crunch, it looks like they're going to try to get him isolated on the linebacker again. Steven was very anxious coming out of the backfield here. He had man-to-man. He's isolated on linebacker. It looks like Givens and Steven Jackson is who they're kind of moving towards on in the passing game.
Throws coming quick now. That one's caught, but a quick hit on Pettis. Brian Scott coming down. A pickup of 5.
And in the third down situation with about 5 or 6 to go, I think he can expect some man-to-man coverage and see where he goes with it.
Third and 5 ball tipped up in the air and picked off. Gilmore will score, but there's a flag down.
I think Mario Williams is guilty of a clip or something here. The official was looking right at him when he threw the flag.
After the interception, holding intercepting team number 54, 10-yard penalty, first down Buffalo.
Scott deflected it. You can see it hits him in the back. But here's the penalty.
You see right there, he pushes him in the back. Not a whole lot, but enough to, I think there's a little acting going on there, but
didn't see a whole lot there.
Yeah, Kyle Moore, yeah. But there again, you look at that, couldn't get any separation on the defender. This is a good plan by Buffalo. Third down, play tight man and make him beat you one-on-one, and they're having a hard time with that.
But now let's not downplay the significance of that flag, because that did take points off the board.
No question.
And anytime you take points off the board, it's an issue.
No question.
So Buffalo won't get the touchdown, but they will get the ball just inside the 50-yard line. Check down throw. Jackson making 2 miss as he works down to the 40. And coach, that one, we saw that on film. Boy, he is so subtle with that.
He is. He has no wasted movement. He'll make a cut and make you miss. He doesn't have all that chatter step stuff, and what he did a brilliant job of here is getting out of bounds after he makes both of them miss, stop the clock.
Efficient, as we say, with his feet.
He really is. He doesn't have any wasted moves at all.
Good enough for 9 yards, and as you said, he got out of bounds, stopping the clock. 3 timeouts for Buffalo. Plenty of space over there, and that's what you're going to get when you leave T.J. Graham that much room. Easy pitch and catch, good for 6, and he's out of bounds.
Anytime you have a cushion here now in 2-minute one-on-one, I think they're going to have that available on either side for the quarterback to throw hits, regardless of what the rest of the routes are. You kind of build that into your 2-minute scheme.
Pressure picked up. Jackson not able to get out of bounds. Great open field tackle by Tremaine Johnson. Now, Coach, what are you telling your quarterback in his headset now as you're approaching the red zone?
Well, you still have a chance to dink and dunk here a little bit. There's still time, and you can still kill it with a timeout or get the ball out of bounds. So you don't have to take the shot here.
And they don't take the timeout, and that's what they're looking for.
That's what you want
Chandler,
right there.
you get the first down, you're set up in the middle of the field,
First choice,
and they take the timeout.
Buffalo.
Let's see what's coming up at the half. Let's go back to the studio and check in with Curt Menefee.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, all the scores and highlights from around the league. Plus, can RG3 come up with a W in the Battle of the Beltway? And was it a big return for Big Ben against the Chargers? We'll find that out and a whole lot more as these guys will join us on the Visa Halftime.
All right, Kurt, the Visa Halftime Report coming your way, but the Bills now, after losing the points on the touchdown after the interception, are threatening to get it back.
You know, you got 32 seconds with 2 timeouts. The ball has to go into the end zone here. If it doesn't, you're looking at getting the ball out on the edge with an opportunity to get the ball out of bounds. But a ball over 10 or 15 yards to get yourself in scoring position. You still have that 1 timeout to kill it and the other to stop the clock to kick the field goal if you have to.
Rams showing a cover 2 look, 5 underneath, 2 deep. They get a handoff. That's Jackson, and the crowd starts to boo. They didn't like that call. Tremaine Johnson, 22 on 22. Timeout taken, loss of 1 on the play. 1 timeout left for Buffalo. 27 seconds.
Need at least 10 here. Ball's got to go past that.
There's your screen. Jackson, and he's hit. They got to get up and move or call the timeout.
And they are perhaps one of the best, if not the best screen team in the league. They do it every way you can.
Okay, now, Coach, what are you going to do here? Clock's running. They look like they're milling around. Yep, they're going to hold it.
Yeah, they're going to get it on 3rd down. If there's a bobbled snap or whatever, you kick it on 3rd down instead of 4th down. It's with the pass rush the way it is with Ryan, I think this is a good call.
Fox Sports coverage of the UFC continues Friday with a full night of fights on both Fuel TV and FX. Saturday, January 26th, the UFC will be back here on Fox as Rampage Jackson returns to the Octagon Plus. Flyweight Demetrius Johnson puts his title on the line against John Dodson. Fox Sports is your home for the UFC.
You know, if you're going to go for it here on 3rd down, you're looking at a deep drop. They've been able to get pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick all through the game. You don't want to get taken into a deeper field goal situation or attempt. And then the potential of a turnover. So it's such a tight game. I think you're playing the 3 points here, and I think it's the right call.
Ryan Lindell, only 1 miss on the season. He hit 1 today, came into the game 17 of 18. This is from 40 yards out. Crowd booing as he attempts the field goal. Lines it up straight, puts it through, and it's good. So the Bills can't get 6, but in this type of game, Coach, 3s may be all you need.
Well, 3 will make a difference here in this game. You've proved that the offense for the Rams, you can handle what they're doing. They've effectively shut them down on offense, and that being said, why take that risk here of a possible turnover, etc. in this situation?
So with 7 seconds left, Buffalo with the lead 6-0. You see Jeff Fisher in the huddle there, in the special teams huddle, being very vocal.
Well, he is, and what he's telling these guys is, look, we're going to win this tight ball game. It's going to be on defense and special teams, and you can't have any flaws or mistakes. So we got to make sure that we're protecting the football here. Don't worry about trying to run it back, and let's go in and regroup at halftime.
We thought this would be a possession game, as they say. You know, not a lot of turnovers, and the weather hasn't played a part thus far, but you know, this is one of those games where you want to have your kicker ready.
Well, and I think the Rams have got to go in at halftime here and figure out what they want to do on 3rd down. They've been awful on 3rd down. They've got to have an answer for this man-to-man coverage. It just have not been effective versus that man coverage at all.
Ball taken at about the 5-yard line. Gibbons will work it up to about the 29. So the score at half, Buffalo up 6-0 as they go in and try to regroup. The Visa halftime show coming up right now. sure and follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. 6-zip. The Bills holding strong here in Buffalo. It's been all about possessions. It's been all about the defensive lines. And you know what? We talked about Buffalo's offensive line. That was a key issue with the injuries they had. How do you assess their play thus far?
Well, they started pretty shaky. I think he got hit almost every pass initially. And they've really helped themselves by chipping. I think the speed of these games, these young players are starting to get used to. When I say games, it's when the tackle and end switch across each other. And when that happens fast and you haven't played, you get on an edge like that and they come free on the quarterback. So they're getting into that and getting comfortable with what's happening, I think, on defense.
Meanwhile, for the Rams, they're starting to get the ball out of Bradford's hands a little bit faster. I think you can see that right there before the half. And they were able to become a little bit more efficient moving the football.
And no question, Ryan.
Givens out past the 25-yard line, close to the 30. Let's go down to Chris Kubota.
Generating offense. That was the topic for both teams in the locker room. For Coach Fisher, he said, yes, we need adjustments on third down, but we have to make something happen on first and second down so we don't get in that position. For Coach Changeli, the concern definitely protecting Ryan Fitzpatrick. He said, we cannot keep him like this all game. They said the line has got to be engaged and we have to get the ball out of his hands quicker.
Getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands seems to be the buzzwords.
And I think both teams will help themselves if they use a little bit more play action.
Thank you, Krista. First play of the second half. Ball at the 30. There it is. Quick throw. Shot outside. That's Austin Pettis. And a look at the first half numbers.
Well, it's pretty lopsided there. Particularly, look at the time of possession as well. But we said at the top of the game that the completing the football consistently, regardless of how far, is really imperative in a tight game like this in terms of just moving the chains. Buffalo's done a much better job of doing that. Of course, in the Rams, look at those statistics.
Yeah, the yardage in chunks just not there for the Rams. The plays there, you saw over 15-plus yards. Play action. The receiver slipped. Intended for Gibson. Gibson went down. Ball sailed over his head.
Well, and I think what we're seeing here is what you would do at halftime after looking at what happened in the first half. Number one, use play action, which they just did, which will help protect him if he's going to take the ball downfield like that. And then the first play was a three-step passing game. So, you know, receiver fell down. That's an issue that really should never happen.
2 Ryan Lindell field goals. The difference in this game for Buffalo. Looks for his out, comes back in. It's complete. A flag is down, but short of the first down. That's Gibson working on Ron Brooks. Both teams still alive in the playoff hunt. Both teams had big wins last week. Jeff Fisher wanted to see if his team could bring that same energy on the road.
Illegal use of hands. Hands in the face. Defense. Number 27. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Automatic first down. That's Stephon Gilmore got popped.
Well, and again, they've done such a good job with the press. That's going to happen. You just got to get the hand out there right away. And, you know, if it's really quick, they generally don't call it. Probably just hung out there on his face a little bit too long with it.
Jackson alone in the backfield. They'll try him right down the pipe. They started to have success with that, Coach, midway through the second quarter, and they kept with it.
Yeah, and they'll go back to it. The other thing that I like with the adjustment there, with the hitting it inside like that, Ron, is a three-step game. We didn't see that in the first half, and all of a sudden we're starting to see that. That hands to the face. I got to ask you, as a defensive back, Ron, is that something that came up with you guys? You're aiming where, at the numbers, top of the numbers, the shoulder?
Well,
what's the DB do there?
A lot of times we're just trying to distract him, you know, get something on, give him something to think about. And most of the time, like you said, Coach, they don't call that.
Even Seattle, through Seattle, through Seattle. Ready?
Pick up a 3 on the last play. Jackson again. Tough sledding outside.
But you take a look at this wall with all the Buffalo players that have ever played here in the stadium, and it's really dramatic to see that. And of course, we were able to find that great here. Ron Pitts played here for 4 years and had a terrific career here before he moved on. But you got to pay your due respect to a guy like that when you're with him. You walk through those halls.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Stop.
We got it.
Oh, my gosh. That's what it was like to have hair. And this is 3rd and 5. Williams can't get around the corner. They hook it up, and it's a first down. Nice job. A pitch and a catch there. Brian Quick, the 2nd-round pick out of Appalachian State, converts.
And what happens on these third medium and press man, we talked about this yesterday, Ron, is if you can't get anybody off one-on-one, you try to run these guys on crossing routes and run picks or rubs with it. And I like what the Rams have done at halftime. They've got a much better sense of reacting to this defense and how to call. Brian Schottenheimer so far has made some terrific changes.
Richardson steps back in and tailback. He'll get the toss. Great chase down. That's Barnett again.
Well, I love the play call here, and I'll tell you why. When you're seeing a lot of man-to-man coverage, there's just plays that you run, and that's one of them. You want to cut the defense, block down, and get it on the edge. And Brian has made some really nice adjustments play selection-wise.
And there's a Buffalo Bill down. It looks like Marcel Darius. We'll check on him when we come back. 6-0.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Jeep Grand Cherokee. By State Farm. Get to a better state with a discount double check. And by T-Mobile. Nationwide 4G coverage from coast to coast.
Can I get you guys anything else? I think I'm good.
Coach, mild or hot wings? Which do you prefer?
The millionaires to me. You know, I'll suck those things. I don't care. I love them.
Bill's medical staff checking on Darius. Try to get a report on him when we can. 2nd and 8. Play action to Jackson. No place to go. Bradford out of the pocket. Trips forward for about 1, maybe 2.
But here's the issue with play action. When it's man-to-man, when it is man-to-man, you just can't. It doesn't affect the pass at all. You can see right here in the injury. That's hard, boy. Your foot gets caught in the surface like that. But when you're playing man-to-man coverage, you don't respond to play action. You use it more for the protection than anything else. Where if it's a zone, now you get guys fooled a little bit. So they caught him in man-to-man. It just was no effect on those receivers at all.
3rd and 7. Tight formation. Ball's out. It's a first down. Gibson is still going. Gibson down to the 25-yard line of the Bills.
Okay. And this is what we call an under route. This is one of the first things you go to reverse press man. You fake it out here, and then you pivot and come back in. You can see him right there. He uses his arm to kind of come off of it and then come right back inside. So it's a clear out. You fake the out and come back underneath, and there's a big hole underneath. I love the adjustment by Brian Schottenheimer and the Rams. It really changed things up well.
22 yards, the longest play of the game for the Rams thus far. Backdoor fade, and it's caught. Great throw, great catch, 2 in a row for Gibson.
Take a look at the first half issues here. Look at the press man these guys ran into. They just could not get off of coverage. And Sam Bradford was taking these sacks because there's nobody to throw the football. They covered him. They go back in at halftime. You can see the pick there. You got some tough duty now going into halftime trying to resolve that, and they've done a good job with it.
That's a pickup of 16 on that play. The quick wide receiver screen outside. It's got a chance to score. Is he in? Nope. They'll call him down at the 1 as the rain comes down here in Buffalo. But the Rams starting to pick it up. Coach, on your last point, where did the Rams make the adjustment in the half?
Well, they did a couple of things, but the biggest issue was the types of routes that they threw. Clear outs.
72.
They have a tackle check in here, tight end.
Oh, that's close.
But they're doing a great job in the kinds of routes. They're giving their guys a better chance to win now against that man-to-man coverage, whether it's crossing routes or pivot routes, those kinds of things. And then you've got to take that shot.
That's Chris Givens there, and timeout called on the field. That was very close.
Back in Buffalo, the St. Louis Rams driving, and over the course of this drive, we have a mixture of rain and snow.
Nice, and here's Steven Jackson. Is he in? Yes, touchdown Rams. So after the timeout called by the Rams, Jackson takes it over the right side for 6.
Pretty impressive drive coming out from the first half, and all the issues that they had on offense, they come out and make those corrections or improvements in what they're doing, particularly on third down, and move this ball down the field and get in the end zone. Terrific job of coaching there.
The Rams' first offensive touchdown in 7 quarters of football. Ten plays, 70 yards. And Coach, those adjustments you talked about figured in big on that drive.
But really did, particularly the third downs.
Snap is clean, hold good, and the Rams take the lead after a sluggish start. The weather, as promised, it's here, and the Rams up by 1. The scoring drive, and I think, Coach, what's key there, the Rams converted 3 third downs on that drive.
And no question, and all 3 of those conversions were different types of plays than what we've seen them do in the past.
So the weather, it was promised all week long. Looked like we were going to be disappointed for about 2 quarters here, and here it is. McKelvin out of the end zone, makes a cut, makes another cut, still going out to the 25-yard line. Hey, pick up your phone and call ** NFL to download NFL Mobile right now and get coverage of every single NFL game. That's NFL Mobile.
You know, the Bills, right before the half, when they were backed up, they ran a shotgun play action to C.J. Spiller, and it was terrific. And then they came back and threw the ball out of it. I wouldn't be surprised to see more shotgun in this half as well.
And there's an example of what Cliff Fisher was talking about with the 4-minute offense. Look at the play clock, or look at the clock now, 8 minutes. They've taken most of it away from the Bills, and that's Spiller. Spiller rips off a nice run about 12, 13 yards. Finally brought down by Craig Dahl.
And against a guy like C.J. Spiller, if you don't have your gaps absolutely accounted for with your defensive players, if anybody gets out of position on the backside, he's so fast and accelerates so well, he makes you pay.
Spiller nearing his first 1,000-yard season. Came into the game 93 yards away. He's got 13 on that carry. 907 yards entering the game on the year for Spiller. The quick one outside to Johnson. Johnson has had a nice game. Nice pickup there as we look at the AFC playoff picture. Houston, Denver, and New England will be in the playoffs. The wild card spot, boy, Indianapolis with Andrew Luck surprising some people, maybe not surprising others, and Cincinnati, along with the Jets, Buffalo, and Miami, holding on there. The last 3 there at the 5 and 7 mark.
And Buffalo's come up with this heavy alignment on offense.
You saw the stiff arm there by Spiller down the sideline. It steps out of bounds.
And what I mean by that is you have 2 tight ends and a wing to one side. You've taken 1 wide receiver up. This is so contrary to what you see them normally do. Defensively, the alignment for this thing, they get everybody pinned, and he's got a chance now either bouncing it out or going all the way back, which you saw him do earlier. That's the same play that he broke out of there with a couple plays ago. Nice change here at halftime. Get into a wing set with 2 tight ends and force that defense all down in a little group like that.
13 yards for Spiller. Stiff arm Janoris Jenkins there, ran around the corner. Play action, pressure in his face, ball is up. Is it a fumble? Is it an incomplete pass? What do you call it? Fitzpatrick got it back. Now the Bills.
Yeah, it did look like the ball slipped out of his hands. Maybe the ball was just a little bit wet.
Ball is going forward,
Yeah,
hands
no
forward, so
question
that's an
it did.
incomplete pass if it hits the ground first.
And the ball just slipped out of his hand. And what they've done such a good job of is getting the receivers up in these inside seams that we saw earlier in the first half. The inside receivers against the linebackers and safety.
They call it a fumble, and they credit it as a sack, a loss of 7 on the play.
Well, that's good. You know, when you come out, he had a shot down the field. He came off it right away, got to his check down quickly, so you get some run after the catch. And that's a veteran quarterback.
It's T.J. Graham. So the Bills dodging a big bullet on that one. That play 2 plays ago. Ball coming out of the hand of Fitzpatrick. Alertly realizing that would be considered a fumble. He gets on it. Jackson upended, but falls forward for the first down.
They came with the house here on the right side of the offense. You can see this ball come out really quick by Ryan to the back, and that's his read. They don't block Fred on this thing at all. They just release him, what you call hot, and it's one-on-one then with the defender coming from depth.
Jumps over Quentin Michael there.
Boy, that ball came out quick. That's the way to beat the big blitz like that, is get it out quickly to a back and let him go one-on-one.
The turn route is wide open down to the 10-yard line for Graham.
Well, and I think the difference for both teams right now is you can see right there in this last drive, he's had three-step drops where the ball comes out real quick. And we saw that on the other side with Sam Bradford. He had 3 of them in that drive, the scoring drive, where he took 3 steps and got the ball out of there quick. So both teams adjusting to pressure by taking short drops and throwing it quickly to the wide receivers.
16 yards, 3 catches on the day for Graham. Inside to Johnson. Johnson still going. Hit at the 2, hit hard at the 2. A flag is down. Brockers. Well, that's a D lineman hustling all the way down to the tackle. Buffalo signaling Rams penalty.
Offside. Defense number 58. Penalty is declined. It will be 2nd down.
2nd and very short for the first.
And then you take a look at this. Watch Ryan here in the gun take basically a real quick 3-step drop, and the receiver runs that little
Number
drag route
66
underneath. It's a
is
little
reporting
quick.
eligible.
That's what a 3-step drop looks like in the gun, as opposed from coming out underneath the center. It's just shuffle.
Fake to Jackson. Wide open, guess who? The tight end, Lee Smith, sneaks around the backside.
You know, both defenses in the first half dominated, really. Both offensive staffs went in at halftime, came out, and we're seeing a completely different game plan or approach than what we saw in the first half. 2 drives that were very well executed and showed off, really, some terrific game plan changes by the staff at halftime.
I said, guess who, Coach? Because that play, when you've got the run going, and you come with that, they botched the snap. Lindell trying to make something happen. Ball's loose. Boy, in this type of game, that extra point could be huge as a flag is down.
I think you said it well. These kind of games are so close and so tight, where there's not going to be a lot of points scored. 1 point is usually the difference.
Sean Powell, that's the rookie free agent punter who's holding the ball. He never got the snap down.
Well, it's hard
Illegal
to
touching of a forward pass, offense number 77. That penalty has declined. The result of the PAT is also unsuccessful. Timeout.
And Cordy Glenn, doggone it, he was hoping he'd get a chance.
Sorry, Cordy.
Yeah, the snap was wide, and he really struggled to get it down.
Scoring drive, 9 plays, 75 yards. And look at that. Fitzpatrick 6 for 6 on the drive. So Buffalo regains the lead, botched the extra point. They're up 12-7. Givens. And Givens fights out to the 24-yard line. Moats on the tackle.
Oh, take a look at this. Ron Pitts is my friend.
It's good to see somebody loves me around here. 12-7 game. Rams will take over. Ball just beyond the 20-yard line. Look at Bradford first half, second half. Shows you how important adjustments are. Play action. Looking deep, checks it down short. The Rams passing game now starting to pick up. That's Lance Kendricks for first down. On January 4th, one of the best bowl games of the year is on Fox. The Heisman Trophy winner just last night, Johnny Football. Johnny Manziel leads 9th-ranked Texas A&M against number 11 Oklahoma. The AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic is January 4th right here on Fox.
And these play-action passes now, they do it as much for protection, but also to get the back in the flat quickly.
11 yards on that play. Jackson, boy, looked like he had a seam there, and it closed up quickly. A pickup of 2.
Well, let's go back and look at the touchdown for the Bills here. Mario Hagan, 51 on the outside, but both these defenders, this is why this play action is so important. Their eyes, you can see right in on the play fake, and now as you come off that play fake, they take the cheese, as they say, and then, of course, you got the touchdown. Really well executed play fake, and caught them committed with their eyes inside.
And that's Roger Saffold, the left tackle for the Rams, down. That could be key coming down the stretch. Roger Saffold started the season a little shaky there health-wise, got everything together. And that's a big loss for the Rams. Wayne Hunter, number 72, 9th-year man out of Hawaii. He's got 4 starts this year for Safford when Safford was nicked up early. Hunter brought in the trade with the Jets this season. So, coaches, they say for a right-handed quarterback, it's always good to have a left tackle ready to go.
Well, Saffold was doing such a great job on the left side for him. They didn't have to chip, and now you got Wayne Hunter. It's the hardest thing to come off late in the game, and you're not warm, and you haven't played, and this is it'll be interesting to see if they do anything about this defensively.
There's a 2nd and 9. Bradford in trouble. Out of the pocket and throws it down. The pressure by Williams.
Let's see what happened to Saffold here. Oh.
They ran up his back there.
Yes, they did. Got right in the back of the leg there.
Look at the Rams getting their yards back, and basically all in the last 2 drives.
Well, and here now they've got Steven Jackson on the other side to help out on Mario Williams, but now they've got Hunter by himself.
Bradford on the hoof. And he does the slide at about the 50. I believe it's good enough for a first down.
I promise you, Ron, that on the sideline, the offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, had said there in all this man-to-man coverage, if you can get free, it's what we used to say, one and done. If your guy's not free or if you're getting pressure, take off, because in man coverage, nobody accounts for the quarterback. There's nobody covering him, or unless you're Cam Newton and they spy a guy, but that's not going to happen here. So
that's right.
I'm sure that's another adjustment that they talked about. All that man coverage. Feel free to take off and go when you get a chance.
Everybody's back is turned, covering their man. They don't see the quarterback. Bill showing pressure inside. The play action freezes him for a little bit. This is going to be a tight one, and it's not there.
Well, they tried to fool him and get the backers to bite so that they can get a drag route to the tight end coming across, and they just did not take the cheese, so to speak, or the fake at all. They had a chance to be in the big play if it was zone, but they caught man-to-man coverage again.
That's Bradham working on Lance Kendricks down the field.
The discipline of this defense, and again, we talked to Chan Gailey about it, has improved. They're playing so well just within the last few weeks.
Jackson, the hole was one side.
The same play that they ran earlier in the game and had so much success, so there's a terrific adjustment by those inside tackles. They're not penetrating like they were earlier in the game.
The hole was one side. Jackson kept it to the other side. And again, like you say, this Bills defense holding strong. No gain on the play. The Bills defense, in the first 7 games, they gave up an average of 424 yards of total offense. The last 5 games here, they've given up an average of 290 yards of total offense. So
they mirrored
extra point.
Yeah, they mirrored the Rams. Both teams have really made terrific improvements defensively.
Jackson calling for the ball. They throw the middle screen inside to the wide receiver. And he's well short of the first down. That's to Givens, and McKelvin secures the tackle after 4 yards.
And it's really a good call. What you have to have on that, you anticipate man, which they did get again. But you're really counting on a pick with a lineman out in front to block the guy that's covering the receiver. And you just have to execute it just a little bit better.
This is the end.
And that is the end of the third quarter here in Buffalo. 12-7 Bills. Fox NFL Sunday will return after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Ron Pitts, Mike Martz, Chris Devoda here in Buffalo. We start the fourth and final quarter of play. The Bills up 12-7. 2 Ryan Lindell field goals and 1 touchdown here late for Buffalo. And a Rams 1-yard touchdown ran. Ball is over the head of the punter. He gets it off. And the Bills should get away from it. It crossed the line of scrimmage. They'll take over there. But somehow Hecker got the ball off. I don't know how.
Well, he did a terrific job of doing that. Saved him about 20 yards, and it's a soap dish deal. Goes right through his hands. It's a perfect snap. We saw Ryan Fitzpatrick do it. So it is a factor. This ball is just a little bit moist, and they are struggling with it.
But how does he get the ball off?
I don't know how he did that. He really collected himself and just did an outstanding job, because really that ball had a chance of being 20 yards further in scoring position.
I mean, you talk about a game changer. Nigel Bradham gets everything but the ball, and Hecker is wondering, wow, as that ball took off on him. So nonetheless, the Bills will take over in great field position. Jackson looking cut back, and there's the cutback, and there goes Jackson. Great open field tackle, but a big gain on the first play.
Well, what they're doing in the running game now, they were in too tights and a squeezed down formation the last drive. This drive, They spread them out, and the quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick, goes up there with 2 runs, and he'll select which run based on what he sees by the defense. And he did a terrific job there getting that ball right where it needed to go in the running game.
14 yards. That's Darian Stewart with a nice open field tackle. Rams show an 8-man front, trying to slow that run down, and it helps. That's a loss on the play. Robert Quinn is there, along with a few others. Well, Fox tonight, it's animation domination. It's got an all-new night of young love and cool cats. It's The Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, Family Guy, and American Dad, starting at 8/7 Central tonight on Fox.
Well, Donald Jones was supposed to come across and at least bluff the defensive end, Robert Quinn, and he didn't time it. He got caught, and so Quinn had a clean shot, the running back.
Loss of 1 on the play. Pressure. Fitzpatrick out of the pocket and up the field. He'll pick up about 2. Out to Los Angeles in this game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, right now the Bears are looking like a team that's lost 3 of its last 4. Facing the Vikings, bad throw by Jake Cutler. Harrison Smith says thank you very much. Takes it back 56 yards for the score. It's 21-7. Vikings rolling right now over Chicago in the 3rd quarter. Ron and Mike.
All of a sudden, Chicago now trying to keep up with Green Bay. Identical records, but Green Bay with the nod in the playoff standings. 3rd and 10. Fitzpatrick in trouble again. And I guess, Coach, the good news there is that he didn't try to force one. A pickup of 3.
Well, and again, the snap was a little errant, and they were trying to avoid that situation with David Snow, the center. That's why they've been keeping him underneath the center. And here on 3rd down, you can't do that. So he does know that he's got to do everything he can to get the ball in field goal position if he can. And so he did a terrific job of pulling it down and not making a bad play worse.
A bad snap the last time out. Sean Powell, the holder, had trouble. And a timeout is called by Buffalo. This is a 52-yard attempt coming from Lindell.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Pizza Hut. Make it great. By Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go. And by Kay Jewelers. Every kiss begins with Kay.
So the Bills changed their mind. They send Lindell off the field. And they tell Powell to back up about 15 yards, and they play the field position game. Coach, do you like it?
I do. I think this is absolutely the right call, as long as you get down it. But I think that...
Oh, what a play. A flag is down. Did he get in clean? I don't know. It may not matter, but Ruvel Martin pushing the ball back. A great play. But now the Bills are saying this is going against the Rams.
And this is what you hope for in this punt. You want to get it down inside the 10 if you can and play field position. A tight ball game, 12-7 like this. Got to make him go the long, hard way. There's a real chance now that
During the kick, holding, number 21 of the return team. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. 1st and 10, St. Louis.
Well, and then you get him out here in 3. You got a great chance of, you can see what the, let's see what the hold was here. There's the jersey and pulls him down. You can see the hold. Anytime you grab a jersey and you stretch it, and the official sees it, he's going to call it.
That's right. That's exactly right, especially on the perimeter like that.
I applaud the decision. I think it was a great decision on Chan Gailey's part.
Even more so with the penalty. Ball spotted at the 3. Steven Jackson with a cutback. Can he actually cut it back? Not much there. A pickup of 1.
And you know what you're saying when you do this, Ron? You're telling the defense you got great confidence and trust in their ability to stop Steven Jackson in that running game. They're going to be more reluctant to throw it back, throw the football backed up, and you're expressing the defense, hey, look, you've been doing a great job stuffing the run. Let's get it done to get that ball to the offense at midfield again.
Kelvin Shepard with the tackle there. Roger Saffold is back in at the left tackle spot. Gibbons across the formation. He looks that way. He's got a step. And it's caught. Didn't go to Gibbons, went instead to Gibson. And he had his man roasted. He had at least 3 yards on Gilmore.
Well, and Gilmore took the cheese here again and took the fake. A little bit of a switch action. He wanted to play the screen. He got caught peeking on the screen. And you can't do that. He anticipated the throw to the inside receiver. And if you just play disciplined football and play your guy, that had no chance of happening there. That play wouldn't have happened.
24 yards, longest play of the day for the Rams. Richardson, he's hitting the backfield, falls forward, maybe got back to the line of scrimmage.
Defensively for the Bills, what they've done such a great job of in the last 5 games now are the gap control, which that's the theme of their front. They cancel gaps. They make sure that each guy has a gap responsibility, and early in the year they're getting guys out of position, and talking to these players on defense, they feel that they're much more disciplined, confident in what they're doing on defense.
A completely different second half for Bradford and the Rams. Everything flowing. That one a little high.
Well, and remember we talked to Fitzpatrick earlier in the workouts here the other day, and he said throwing the football to that sideline of the visitor sideline is nasty business. There's a little swirl going on over there, and he said all the football has a tendency to take off. Now, there's been 3 passes on that sideline where he's actually missed these throws high.
That one intended for Gibbons. Bills out of the press coverage all of a sudden. Maybe they ran him out of it, huh, Coach? They're back off with the down and distance. Yep. 3rd and 10 throw. It's caught. Boy, it looks short.
It's short by where they're going to mark it, I think, Ron. And really, that's the receiver's fault. When you run down and you make your break, you have to, what you say, net the sticks. When you catch the football, your feet have got to be past the sticks. To be short a half a yard or a yard, just can't happen. It just can't let that happen.
That was Pettis. He secured the catch, but his coach says, get your distance, get your marker, then turn for the ball.
And you got to be aware of those things.
Better snap this time. Hecker drives it out. McKelvin dancing, cutting it back, and goes down close to the 30-yard line. A field position game in nasty weather. 12-7 Bills. 12-7, 9:04 here to play. Buffalo ball at the 30-yard line.
And they're back to the wing set with the lead fullback, what they had so much success with in that scoring drive that they had.
The bounce outside, that's Spiller. Spiller makes a man miss and then gets driven out of bounds. Nice play by Jenkins. Let's go down to Chris Devoda.
Ron, one of the strengths of this Rams defense is its secondary. Safety Craig Dahl is questionable for the rest of this game with a head injury. Darian Stewart is playing in his place.
Thank you, Krista.
And one of the things we talked about in preparing for this game is defensively how you have to play C.J. Spiller differently than Fred Jackson. When he's on the perimeter, like you saw, that all you saw were blue jerseys coming, and they have to adjust their angle a little bit differently than they would anybody else because he's so much faster.
Jeff Fisher said they would treat him like they treated Reggie Bush when they played Miami, knowing he's got flanking speed. Be ready for it. On the corner, the dump down to Chandler, the tight end. Chandler just kind of was out in front of him, almost like he was going to block, and at the last second turn and look for the ball.
I think it did cross Ryan's mind to take off and go. And maybe it goes back to the conversation that he and I had on Friday. Let's rethink this, Ryan. You know, these other guys get paid to do that, pack the ball. Why don't you go ahead and dump it off there?
A pickup of 3. If you remember last season, the Bills got off to a very fast 4-1 start. Fitzpatrick's numbers were great. The team gave him a big contract. The numbers weren't quite the same after that, neither were the wins. But right now, the Bills, along with the Rams, still alive in the playoffs. This is 3rd and 6, and didn't look like Johnson knew the ball was coming.
He just didn't go in there with much authority, did he? And really, I thought the ball was put right where it had to be put. It looked like he backed off of it a little bit. I don't know whether he just didn't see it coming off his hand or what, but he certainly looked like he backed off it. You can see him right here, just kind of, yeah, it was a kind of a half-hearted effort there. Not sure what happened with him there.
So the Bills will punt it away. Considering the conditions, a nice kick. Oh, look at this. Up in the air and backward goes Austin Pettis. He jumped over a man and ran right into his own man. A tight one here in Buffalo. We're going back and forth.
Today's game is sponsored by the new 2013 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost.
12-7 game. Raining conditions, 7:17 to play. Coach, this feels like a very important drive. Jackson. Out to the 30, a pickup of 4.
The question is, Ron, you know, when you look at the game here, has weather played a factor? You got a little soap dish there by Ryan Fitzpatrick, a slip here on the PAT, and of course the ball right through the hands. You know, there's no question that the moisture on that ball has affected this game, but welcome to Buffalo, right? And, you know, I'm sure you've seen this happen before as a player, Ron.
Yeah, and you know, you made a great point, and that, not quite sure who that is. You made a great point earlier last night about, hey, don't talk about the weather if you got to go play in weather.
Well, you just, when you're playing with a wet ball, you just have got to really focus hard on the football. You just cannot take some of the things for granted. You know, you have a nice feel for it when it's nice and dry, but it gets a little bit heavier when it's wet, and plus the fact that it's just a tick on the slick side. So it looks like it's Saffold that was injured, Ron. They're taking him off.
Saffold again, the first time was back, and boy, I take my hat off to him. You can see he's trying to come out here and lay it on the line in a big game. I can only imagine the pain he's in. So,
and he's off to a terrific career there. He's really an accountable left tackle, a guy you don't have to worry about.
Hunter steps back in for the second time at that left tackle spot, number 72. Kendricks, short motion. Play action, pressure's not there. Looking down the middle. And it's incomplete.
Hard to throw better than that.
He had Gibbons. He got in between two.
Yes, he did, and he dropped it right between the two defenders. Boy, he just, the hardest thing about catching a deep ball is you run so fast. It's like driving a truck over a brick road, you know. You're shaking and rattling, and it takes such great concentration on that ball. People think it's easy. It's very difficult to catch a ball over your shoulder running full speed like that, but nonetheless, that's why you're there.
He put it in between Gilmore and Searcy. Ball was on the money, as we say. 3rd and 6. Big third down for the Rams. Throws up, and it's out of bounds.
They ran Mario Williams on a game on the left side that time. He went inside, and I couldn't see who it was that came back outside. It was Marcel Darius, I guess. And watch this twist. So this is what that's what they've been doing. Now that's what they've been doing to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they got a little taste of it here, didn't they?
Seen some big-time hits there, like you say. That's Darius. He was injured early in the game, but looks like he got healthy. Ball's out to the corner. McKelvin makes a break, another break. Across the 40-yard line down to the 43. Good field position for the Bills. 19 yards on the return. Pressure on both quarterbacks today by both defensive lines. 6:21 to play. Buffalo up 12-7.
Now Buffalo's gone into that 4-minute, grinded out 6-minute run game, and with the extra tight end inside, so trying to get that clock going down. And take a look at this hit here on the quarterback, and you got to question whether or not that's a blow to the head. You can see it right there, and the big hit came off of the helmet in the side, but you know, I'm not sure that the referee could see that, and that's probably why it did not get called.
Loss on the play of 1, 2nd and 11. They'll ground and pound it.
Well, we talked about the 6-man offense the other night, Ron, in our meetings. Remember, we discussed the best ways of doing it. And I think when you have a substituted offense, you spread guys out more. You have a better chance of creating some seams. It looks like Fred Jackson's down there, Ron.
Boy, and the Buffalo Bills training staff flew out in that field. They saw Jackson go down, and they knew immediately something was wrong. He didn't move. See, he's moving there, and that's always good news, but this could be a huge loss for the Bills.
Yeah, no question. Well, let's take a look and see what happened here. Oh, his knees.
Yep.
His knees got collapsed
low.
there, down low. You really can't see exactly what happened to the knee, but it did get moved pretty good, didn't it?
Jackson and Spiller, of course, share the load here in Buffalo, and have for a while. They do a good job of getting both backs involved. A lot of people will tell you that that can't work, won't work, but they make it work.
Well, they've made a living out of it and proven that it works, and I think the personality of the two players is very important. I think they help each other. They talk to each other in between series, and they both have different running styles. And you can see Steven Jackson went in there, talked to the defense a little bit, and he wanted to see Fred Jackson, I think. And I think there's a camaraderie throughout the league with all these running backs, Ron. I'm sure it happened with you at corner as well.
We'll check on Fred Jackson here in a second. Right now, let's go back to Kurt Menefee in the studio.
And a reminder that when you guys are done, we'll have America's Game of the Week. Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints trying to end their 2-game slide against Eli Manning and the New York Giants, who are just trying to hold on to first place in the NFC East. It all comes up when you guys are done there in Buffalo. Ron and Mike?
Well, the good news is that Fred Jackson is able to walk off the field, assisted there, but able to walk off the field after getting that shot down there by his knees. And Jackson, what a story. Spent 2 seasons in the U.S. Indoor Football League with the Sioux City Bandits. And then over in NFL Europe. I mean, you talk about a self-made guy in this league, fought his way up, fought for playing time. Never really looked at as the guy here. He's kind of always looked at as a second guy, but over the years, he's earned his playing time and has turned into a key cog for this offense.
And he's earned the respect of all the players in the league. I think everybody has great admiration and respect for who he is as a player and a man.
Tashard Choice will check in. Plenty of time. Going for the home run, and it's well covered. Running step for step. Darian Stewart tried to get that ball to T.J. Graham.
Well, they were trapped him in and out with both defenders, and I'm not sure Ryan didn't feel like he was going to try and cross his facing underneath it. He threw that ball real firm on a line like he expected him to go flatter. They're having a discussion about it over there on the sideline. I think Ryan's telling him, look, man, I thought you were going to come underneath that safety. It looked like he could have got through there.
Yeah, those discussions aren't always friendly. The Rams bring pressure. Don't get it. Fair catch on a tough ball and tough win. Pettis, nice job. Our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader continues with America's Game of the Week. Drew Brees and the Saints take on Eli Manning and the Giants. Others will see the Cardinals and Seahawks. That's all coming up after this game right here on Fox.
And this is the point in the last few games where they've gotten Steven Jackson the ball in the series and thrown him the football, and he's been able to make some some big plays for him down the field, about 20 yards, and get them into scoring position.
Familiar territory now for the Rams. They pulled out one by 3 last week in overtime against the 49ers. Had to win it at the last second there. Had to put it into OT in the last second. And that ball knocked away. That's number 55, Kelvin Sheppard.
Well, Kelvin Sheppard did a terrific job of snugging him up and being very patient and playing the ball with his hand, knocking it away.
And guess what? Roger Saffold back in the game.
He just...
Hey, I like it. That's the kind of guy you want to play with.
That's an offensive lineman. Their guys are out there. They got to get back on the field.
Gotten hurt, come back twice today. They give to Jackson. Jackson almost got out of there big time. Finally brought down by Barnett. That's Oregon State on Oregon State. Seen that a couple times today, but that's a nice run. What do they call it? Very close to the first down.
You know, these are great calls on these down and distances because there's so much penetration on the edge, and you let the pass rushers run themselves right out of the play and create that crease on their own. Just kind of nudge them and help them with the way they want to go.
Bad news there is they card in Fred Jackson. Meanwhile, Steven Jackson, 17 carries, 57 yards. This is a 3rd and short. The Rams have struggled throughout the year here. Won't struggle there. Jackson has it, then some. You get the feeling Jackson is ready to go. Right now, let's go down to Chris Devoda.
Ron, just something I want to add on Fred Jackson. When he came over to the bench, the training staff looking at him, he pointed the inside of his right knee. Then he immediately grabbed a towel, put it over his head, and hung his head as he sat there on the bench. They brought the cart over, and he's being taken off the field.
Yeah, never good news when it involves the knee. Very good player going up that tunnel. 7 yards on the run. First down. Throw it, got separation, can't hold on. That ball's got to be caught. Brandon Gibson.
And that's the sideline again. He's missed. You know, there's a little bit of a swirl there, and again, he's high and outside on it. The ball takes off on it. And Ryan Fitzpatrick had talked about this. Good double move. He's got him beat. I'm not so sure he wasn't trying to back shoulder it where he had him beat, just laid out there in front. If that's the case, it was a poor choice by Sam. You know, the guy we haven't heard of since the beginning of the game is Mario Williams. He's disappeared, and really they're not doing anything special to chip him at this point. They did early, but he's one-on-one over there now.
Williams with 1 sack on the day. Seam throw. That ball is caught. Kendricks right down the middle of the field. First down, Rams.
And they have they've gotten themselves into a lot of zone in this drive, gotten away from some of the man-to-man, and I'm not sure why that's the case. Maybe the double move scared him over there because he did beat him with that route. Yeah. But boy, as soon as you show zone, that's, you know, he's just too good at getting that ball into those seams.
22 yards. Steven Jackson. Saw Jackson tried to bounce it outside, but they got bodies there. Sean Merriman, there's a name from the past, so to speak.
You know, in a perfect world, if this is a scoring drive, you like to score with no time on the clock or use it up. But at this point, you're struggling so bad on offense. It's just, you got to get the ball in the end zone any way you can, regardless of what's left on the clock. But Steven Jackson's going to come up with it here pretty quick coming out of the backfield. That's just what they do.
Bradford with 3 career fourth-quarter comebacks. He's looking like he's in rare form right now. A yard shy of the first goes Steven Jackson. And that is the 2-minute warning. The Rams coming down the field. We'll be back in Buffalo right after this. The Rams trying to improve on the road. Since 2006, 8-36-1 in road games. Oh, that That ball nearly picked off, and that would have sealed the deal for Buffalo. George Wilson will think about that one until he gets a shot at another one. This is 4th down.
And anytime you have Sam Bradford in the center with Steven Jackson lined up behind him, I think you can expect these quick types of throws, and maybe that's what they were playing, because the downfield stuff comes from the shotgun with Steven offset by the tackle.
4th and 1. Great catch by Pettis to move the chains. Ball thrown well behind him, but he comes up with it.
Well, it really had he been able to keep that out in front. Here's that little under route again. He makes that move to the outside, spins back underneath, and
Big
wow.
time.
Yes, yes indeed. Yes indeed. And that's a route that they've been able to use now several times in key situations.
Pettis, second-year man of the Boise State, 3rd-round pick last year. Coming up with money. Pressure around the corner. Ball's loose. He let it go in the corner of the end zone.
And I think they have option routes with these wideouts based on coverage, whether you go in or out, and there's just miscommunication there. Sam Bradford obviously didn't know which way he was going, anticipated him into the corner.
Time permitting, bonus coverage after this game. Cowboys and Bengals in Cincinnati. Right now, Cincinnati up 19-10. 2nd and 10 throw. Another interception dropped by the same guy. George Wilson, 2 chances, 2 drops.
George Wilson read this beautifully. He got a nice jump on it, and it looked like he was trying to decide whether to catch it or knock it down and couldn't quite figure out because he got caught with his hands. Watch his hands here. You can kind of see him here to the picture on the top there. He's going to end up right there. If he'd gotten the other hand up there, he might have had a pick.
Take my advice. Go for the catch. Lance Kendricks, intended receiver. Bradford throws the comeback, and it's caught. Still on his feet. That's Gibson. And Gibson with a great play. Working on Brooks.
I tell you, the great play by the quarterback, Sam Bradford, just hung in there and hung in there and hung in there. And I'm not sure, you watch him look over here to the left, that he really felt the ball was going to come over there. And all of a sudden it showed up because it was so late. The ball was thrown so late.
And then Gibson stays on his feet, makes a move, gets out of bounds.
I'm napping over there in the sideline a little bit.
Gibson, 4th-year man out of Washington State. Bradford, middle of the field, and it's knocked away. Didn't quite get through the trees. Darius, we've called his name a lot here in the second half. 55 seconds left. The Rams with 2 timeouts.
Boy, you think Mario Williams down here, they need him big to show up on a pass rush. He's on an edge. He's not being chipped. In fact, the back is Steven Jackson's away from the other side, so he's one-on-one.
Going for the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown, Rams.
Boy, he just laid that in there.
Gibson. 2 great catches by Gibson in this drive, and 1 is for 6.
And I'm not sure, when you look at this, if this wasn't a little bit of a shake at the top where he moves him, because he actually had about 3 steps on the DB.
14 plays, 84 yards. It takes up 4 minutes, just over 4 minutes, and a 2-point conversion. And you see the Rams 3 for 4 on the season in 2-point conversions. Throwing to the corner. He's got his man. A flag goes down, and it's a touchdown, or the extra point. 2-point conversion is good. Let's check the flag. That's going against Buffalo.
It looked like we had a flag here. We're waiting for the referee to come over here and make the announcement. I guess they're in the flag.
So they'll pick the flag up now with that, as they explain it to Buffalo. Now with that 2-point conversion, the Bills would have to come downfield and get a field goal just to tie it.
And a tie, and of course that's why they went for 2, right. So that, field goal ties it. I don't know why he had such outside leverage. It looked like he was playing, the defender was playing inside help there. He had a crossing route underneath it, and it looked like it may have distorted the coverage a little bit because it was a snug zone coverage.
So the Rams take the lead 15-12 with 48 seconds left. The Bills with 2 timeouts. This will be Brad Smith. Smith stopping his feet, puts his head down and goes down at about the 23-yard line.
And there's time now with the 42 seconds left. There's time to make it happen, get down there and get a field goal and push this thing into overtime. You got 2 timeouts. You have plenty of time to get this thing done. Just got to make sure you're moving the chains here. Complete the ball. Remind the guys, too, that get out of bounds with that ball. Get out of bounds. Lots of reminders. Anytime you huddle, you can expect blitz. All these kinds of things. You're talking to the guys in the huddle. Hey, look, we huddle up, expect blitz here. Remember, everybody protect the ball and get out of bounds.
Hey, Mike 5-5, Mike 5-5.
So Ryan Fitzpatrick will take over here at the 23-yard line. Now he's got to try to take his team down the field. He comes out swinging, and that ball is complete to the tight end, Chandler.
If you had any thought about his arm strength, he put a rocket on Chandler there, but he stuck it right on his numbers.
Timeout called by Buffalo. 1 timeout left. Out to Los Angeles. Let's check in with Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Rod, thanks very much. Both the Cowboys and the Bengals chasing a playoff berth, and down 19-10. Tony Romo, a strike to Des Bryant, 27 yards. Dallas now looking for a stop. They trail 19-17 in Cincy. Ron and Mike.
Boy, things heating up there in Cincy. All right, Patrick, appreciate it.
And people may wonder why you call timeout there. We had a rule that anytime you have 20 yards or more, then you have more than 1 timeout. You utilize that timeout because you burn so much time just getting up to spike it.
Right. And a look at Ryan Lindell. Lindell with a long of 50 on the year. Fitzpatrick with 6 career fourth-quarter game-winning comebacks. Going up long. I don't know what they were looking for, but it was well covered, intended for Graham. Janoris Jenkins.
And we were talking to Ryan Fitzpatrick Friday. He said on those deep balls, he likes to lead him inside with the thought that the wind has a tendency to push the ball back towards the sideline a little bit. It looks like that thing got a little further inside than what he really expected.
Janoris Jenkins running step for step.
I'm not sure Brandon Gibson realized the ball was coming over to him.
2nd down and 10. Pressure. And Fitzpatrick goes down. Robert Quinn along with Michael.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick never saw this coming. He looked over, his helmet peaks there, but comes left right away. He assumed the right tackle was going to push out and pick that blitzer up. And like we said earlier, you always remind your guys that whenever you huddle for any reason, you expect the defense to bring pressure.
So the final timeout called there by Buffalo. No timeouts left. And you look at our game summary. A lot of yards in the air for Fitzpatrick. Tough performance really on both sides for both quarterbacks. They took some hits early. But the Rams with the go-ahead touchdown and two-point conversion. Now no timeouts at 3rd and 19 with 21 seconds. Throws intercepted, and that'll do it. Jolon Dunbar seals the deal for the Rams.
Well, he expected the receiver.
Hit as he's thrown, you could see that.
But just the way he threw the ball, he was throwing it really flat. Let's see what happens here. You can see him step to the throw.
He got it out of there. But
he got it out of there. He sure did, yes.
William Hayes. Yep, got the arm a little bit there, but
I still think he expected the receiver to do something differently.
Yeah, doesn't look like that ball would have made it to the spot anyways.
No,
And for Jolon Dunbar, that is the 2nd interception of the season and a big one. And the Rams will win another one on the road here. Now that's 2 for the season. Criticized for not being able to win on the road, but they win a big one and stay alive in the playoff hunt. And for Buffalo, that all but kills the playoff chances.
Yeah, no question. And back-to-back wins for the Rams. Both defenses, I thought today, Ron, were very, very outstanding in shutting down the running game of both teams, because you got Steven Jackson, of course, the duo there with Fred Jackson and you know, Spiller. So both defenses made the other team win by throwing the football. Ultimately, the Rams, who started out so slow and really almost inept at throwing it, ended up doing a terrific job with it.
Sam Bradford's 4th career 4th quarter comeback for the Rams, now 2 weeks in a row. That's the final here in Buffalo. The St. Louis Rams 15, the Buffalo Bills 12. For Mike Martz, Chris DeVoe, I'm Ron Pitts. So long from Buffalo. Let's go back out to L.A. The Lowe's Game Break Show. Here's Kurt Menefee.